Hello, um, I'm going to do presentation on the assignment. Um, they give some questions that we need to answer. The first question was, what are some of the general factors we must take into account in order to control microorganisms in a healthcare setting? So the first thing that I know that we need to take stand is the primary method, the hand hygiene. Hand hygiene is very important because it can prevent transmission of pathogen from one patient to another patient, including the healthcare workers. So washing your hand with soap and water 15 seconds, it's very important. The proper of use of personal protective equipment such as gloves, gown, and mask, those are very important. So in case like we have a virus that is going on, so we must use this precaution to prevent the spread of the virus. So when we go to work, we have to wear the mask, and if somebody is positive with COVID, we must wear a gown, and of course we have to wear the shield, which is the goggles to prevent getting this disease. In a hospital, aseptic technique is used when they clean the equipment. They clean like in operation room, they have to clean this table and stuff, disinfect it and stuff like that. Also, we need to clean and disinfect the environment and surface such as laptops, computers, the countertop, anywhere that we can come in touch with. We need to disinfect and clean those environments so we don't get contamination of germs and stuff like that. I talk about sterilization of equipment. When it comes to equipment used for operations, such as needles and stuff and blades, those things need to be sterilized. It has to be sterilized. So if it's not sterilized, the patient can be contaminated with infections and the bacteria. They can easily get the bacteria. So we have a steam autoclave. It's one of the stuff that we use. So there is some of the stuff that you have to use only steam. Like utensils, you can put in a dishwasher. It can be hot to kill the germs and stuff like that. And then the second question was, to select a physical method that controls microbial growth and provide a brief overview of advance and disadvance using this method in healthcare. So I chose filtrations. I tried to define filtration a little bit. Filtration is the passage of liquid or gas through the screen-like material with spoon small enough to retain microorganisms, often in the same apparatus used for counting. So when I say the filtration, I say it's some sort of it's big like this, and then it has um, hole in it, so that you can see the um, uh, um, you can see the how do you call it? I want to say it's like a micro or whatever. It has a size. It depends of the size, so they can filter stuff. The filtration is not only for microbe and stuff like that. They can be water filtration. Can be anything that can be filtrated. So there's a vacuum that is created to receive flex air pressure to force the liquid to go through. So that pressure will make the the liquid to go through. So filtration is used to sterilize heat sensitive material. So things like when we do culture, or we want to make a culture to grow bacteria, in the plate. So we have to put that in the heat. That heat cannot be too hot or too cold. It has to be in certain temperature. Things like vaccines or antibiotic. So they can use filtration to make sure that there's no bacteria in it. So now they ask what advantage and disadvantage of filtration. The advantage is it's absolutely sterilize. It can sterilize anything. I mean, not anything. It can sterilize, things that are sensitive to the heat. So they can use those things to use. They use filtration instead of heat, because sometimes you cannot use heat to sterilize antibiotic or vaccine, so they use filtration instead. So thus it can remove all the multiple particle size that can allow the fairly throughput. It can also use a large volume of liquid can be filtered as reasonable fast. Yeah, you can have a volume of it, you use filtration, and it will be do as fast. So the disadvantage of the filtration has a specific nominal sperm size. It's unable to separate microorganisms that the same size. The filtration can only work in liquid and gases. That's where it is. It can only work whether it's gas or it's liquid. So they use filtration, like you can filtrate water, to help now the water. They use filtration not to so the water doesn't have bacteria. So when we're drinking water, we don't ingest bacteria in our body and create disease. And then this is select one chemical method to control microbial growth and provide a brief overview of advantage and disadvantage of using method and in healthcare setting. So I choose the halogen. Halogen is it's a form of iodine and chlorine. So I try to define it a little bit. So halogen is particle iodine and chloride are effective. It's particle of iodine and chlorine. So the chlorine are effective antimicrobial, both alone and as constituents of inorganic or organic compound. The iodine is one of the oldest, most effective antiseptic. It is active against all kind of bacteria and the spore, viral, fungi, and some viruses. So we use the iodine. Most of the time when we use, for example, like if a patient has wound or patient has we see some patient that has diabetes, they start developing a sore on their feet. So we kind of like use, if we don't want to bandage those feet or whatever it is, mostly they start in the toes. So we can use iodine to to clean the place so it doesn't get infected. We can also use we use this iodine to clean those area. You can use the iodine to clean area like in our vaginal area. When you insert catheter, we use iodine. Iodine, you can use it to prevent more bacteria, like to prevent microbe to enter. It's very effective. It's very useful because it's the advantage of it. It's not it cannot irritate your skin, or most people use it. And so the advantage and disadvantage of iodine. So advantage is the advantage of iodine is form brown color that indicate the strength. And effective by the water, less irritating to the skin, the iodine. So and then advantage is effective decrease greatly with increase of pH when active at pH 30. Very low active should not be used in the water. If the degree is like 120, you cannot use it. And chlorines advantages and very chlorines is effective in wide variety of bacteria and high active, but it's not effective hard in water and generally not expensive. So chlorine is really usable. They use chlorine in the water. They use chlorine in the mostly in the water tank, to protect from getting germs and stuff. Chlorine is used for a lot of things. You can see chlorine in the disinfect that we use to clean the table. It's really useful because it's something that comes a little bit expensive, not expensive. It's affordable for house use, water, and stuff like that. And then this advantage, it can be irritating to the skin. If you use too much, you can burn the skin, and yeah. For example, like some people, when you go to the pool, and then you enter the pool, some people you come up with, the skin is, they're allergic to it. So chlorine does that. That's the disadvantage of it. Thank you. I hope this is good.